Being dumb at home, whatever. Close the door, no one sees it, no one judges. But being dumb in public is a whole different level, especially when you do it right in front of store employees and a security guard who's quietly wondering, what exact life choice led me here? These aren't crimes, no laws broken, no evil plans, just very confident people making extremely bad decisions with a thought that's way too familiar. It'll probably be fine. And right when they think everything is still okay, someone walks over, points at the exit, and politely lets them know, "Sir, today you need to leave the store." This video has 31 moments like that. 31 people, 31 decisions, and 31 reasons you won't believe are real. Story 1. Bringing an emotional support goat into Walmart. Everything started out completely normal. Very Walmart normal. A man slowly pushed a shopping cart down the aisles, looking just like any other customer. There was only one detail that made people do a double take. Next to him was a goat. He confidently explained that this was his emotional support goat. According to his logic, if dogs are allowed in the store, then a goat is basically just a dog with a few extra horns. At first, the goat behaved pretty well. It stood still. It looked around. Then it discovered the cereal aisle. Within minutes, Walmart turned into a personal buffet. Boxes were ripped open, cereal covered the floor, and very visible emotional support signs appeared all along the aisle. The owner tried to reassure everyone that the goat was just relieving stress. Unfortunately, the emotions of the cleaning staff were not supported at all. Eventually, security showed up, and Walmart made a very clear decision. Both the man and the goat were politely asked to leave. Story 2. Using the display toilet for its intended purpose. Everything started when a customer stood for a very long time in front of the bathroom display. He looked at the toilet, looked around, then looked back at the toilet again. There were no warning signs, no barriers. And in his head, that could only mean one thing. So, this is allowed. According to his logic, if the store displays chairs for sitting, beds for lying down, then a toilet must obviously be for using. He acted very naturally, a little too naturally. The problem started when an employee walked into the area and witnessed a situation no training manual had prepared them for. There was screaming, there was freezing in place, and there was a heavy, awkward silence when both sides realized this had gone way too far. Management was called. Hygiene rules were explained, very slowly, very clearly. And finally, the customer was escorted to the exit with a polite reminder that display does not mean usable. Story 3. Grilling chicken on sauna rocks. This man believed the biggest problem of modern life was lack of time. So he decided to solve two things at once: going to the gym and meal prep. After his workout, he walked into the sauna with a small bag he brought from home. Inside was a pre-seasoned rotisserie chicken. In his mind, hot sauna rocks were basically the same as a high-end grill. He placed the chicken on the rocks, sat down, took a deep breath, and enjoyed the feeling of someone who was both training his body and taking care of his nutrition. A few minutes later, the sauna started to smell different, not relaxing, but very clearly like roasted chicken. Other people walked in, froze, then quietly walked back out. Staff showed up. The situation was assessed, and a decision was made immediately. He was asked to leave the gym permanently. Turns out combining workouts and cooking is not included in the membership. Story 4. Pouring a taco into a shoe after taking the slogan literally. The man walked into the restaurant with a very serious expression. He stood staring at the menu for a long moment, then looked up at the slogan on the wall, "Think outside the bun." In his head, this wasn't advertising. It was an instruction. He walked straight to the counter and placed a sneaker on the counter, not to show it off, but to prepare. When the employee asked what he'd like to order, he calmly replied, "1 taco, but don't put it in a bun." Then he pointed at the shoe. The entire counter froze. The staff thought it was a joke. It wasn't. He was completely serious. He explained that the slogan encourages creativity, and he was simply following the brand spirit. Very correctly, too correctly, the taco was placed into the shoe. Nearby customers went completely silent. A few seconds later, a manager appeared. No arguing, no long explanations. He was asked to leave the store immediately. Turns out, thinking outside the bun does not include shoes. Story 5. Washing feet in a display fish tank. This woman walked into a pet store in a very relaxed state of mind. After wandering around for a few minutes, she stopped in front of the largest display aquarium in the store. She watched the small fish swimming back and forth, and then had a very creative idea. In her mind, small fish eat algae and dead skin, and if they can do that for a fish tank, then they can definitely do it for feet. She took off her shoes, rolled up her pants, and gently lowered both feet into the tank. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and stood there like she was at a spa. Meanwhile, nearby customers froze in place. Some turned away, some panicked and called staff. Seconds later, security arrived. No questions, no debate. The free foot care treatment ended right there, and the woman was asked to leave the store before the fish needed therapy themselves. Story 6. Testing a blender with live fish and monster. This man believed that buying a blender without properly testing it was simply irresponsible. So he came prepared. Live fish, a handful of kale, and a can of Monster Energy. No questions, no permission. He plugged in the display blender and started dumping everything into the pitcher. The sound came first, then the smell. A smell strong enough to make the entire aisle slow down and reconsider their life choices. Nearby customers backed away on pure survival instinct. Staff rushed over and shut the machine off before the situation became truly unfixable. He very seriously explained that he was just testing real-world performance. The employee nodded, acknowledging the dedication, then politely asked him to leave the store. The test was complete. The blender still worked. He, however, would not be testing anything there again. Story 7. Stuffing crab legs into cargo pants at a buffet. This man walked into the buffet with a very clear goal. Eat as much as possible, and if possible, save some for the future. He chose a table near the seafood station where crab legs were neatly stacked and smelled incredibly tempting. In his mind, cargo pants were invented for moments exactly like this. At first, everything went smoothly. One leg, then two. Then a few more quietly disappeared from the tray and reappeared in pockets no one expected to exist. The problem is, crab legs were not designed to be hidden. He started walking slower, stiffer. Every step came with a very suspicious soundtrack. Crack, crunch, clack. One employee stopped to watch, then another. When he attempted a casual bathroom break with the posture of a malfunctioning robot, it was over. He was caught on the spot and politely escorted out of the buffet along with the entire harvest still inside his pants. Story 8. Bowling with a frozen turkey. This group of friends walked into the supermarket with a very clear plan. Not to shop, but to film a fun little clip. They stopped in the frozen food section where rows of frozen turkeys were lined up neatly waiting for their fate. And in one person's mind, a brilliant idea appeared: bowling. A shopping cart was set up as the lane. Stacks of displayed products at the end of the aisle became the pins, and a frozen turkey was chosen as the ball. The first throw was powerful, too powerful. The turkey slid, shelves collapsed, boxes flew, and the entire aisle turned into a crime scene. Laughter came first, then the sound of merchandise hitting the floor. The employees did not laugh. A manager appeared. The cameras were turned off. The entire group was escorted out immediately, along with an unexpected prize, a permanent ban from the store. The video never got posted, but the consequences were very real. Story 9. Taking a nap on a display bed at IKEA. This man walked into IKEA with the simple intention of just lying down to test it. He pulled the blanket up, placed his head on the pillow, and in less than a minute, his body made a completely different decision. He fell asleep. A deep, perfect sleep. Cool air conditioning, soft lighting, and the distant sound of footsteps like a lullaby from the retail industry itself. The problem only appeared when a couple walked over to try the bed. They pulled up a chair, prepared to sit down, and discovered someone was already there. Staff were called. Once, twice, 3 times, no response. Eventually, a gentle tap was used. The man jolted awake, panicked, like someone who just realized he woke up in a stranger's house. He was politely informed that IKEA allows customers to test beds, but does not include a full REM sleep cycle. He was asked to leave the store. The nap was over. The experience, however, was very complete. Story 10. Bringing a recliner into a movie theater. This man did not believe in the concept of comfortable enough. He believed in maximum comfort. So instead of using the theater seat like everyone else, he brought his own recliner. A large chair, very large, with thick cushions, a footrest, and most importantly, a massage function. He dragged the chair through the lobby, walked straight into the theater, and placed it in the front row like it was an official VIP seat. Nearby audience members watched in respectful silence, mixed with mild fear. Once he settled in, he called an employee over and asked a very sincere question. "Do you have a power outlet here? My chair needs electricity." The employee froze. The theater froze. Everyone collectively understood this was not going to end well. A manager appeared. No negotiation, no test sitting. He was politely asked to leave along with the recliner. Turns out a movie ticket does not include bringing your own furniture. Story 11. Returning pizza at Best Buy. The man walked into Best Buy holding a pizza box. Not a fresh pizza. A half-eaten one with several very noticeable slices missing. He placed the box on the returns counter with the seriousness of someone filing a complaint about a high-end device. When the employee asked what the issue was, he answered firmly, "This pizza processes too slowly." According to him, the cheese melted unevenly, the toppings had poor response time, and overall the processing power did not meet expectations. The employee froze, trying to determine whether this was a joke. It wasn't. He was completely serious. He asked to speak to technical support, specifically the Geek Squad, because if they can fix laptops, then logically pizza shouldn't be an exception. A manager was called over and gently explained that Best Buy does not sell food. The exchange ended politely. The pizza was not repaired, and the man was asked to leave the store along with a new understanding of the boundary between technology and lunch. Story 12. Asking for a refund on a losing lottery ticket. This man walked into a convenience store holding a lottery ticket that had already been scratched. Completely scratched. So clean that not even hope was left. He placed the ticket on the counter and calmly said he wanted a refund. The reason, the product was defective. According to his argument, the ticket was advertised with the possibility of winning big. But his ticket didn't win anything at all, and therefore, it clearly wasn't functioning as expected. The employee tried to explain that a lottery ticket is not an electronic device. There is no warranty, no refunds, and definitely no replacement version. He wasn't satisfied. He demanded customer rights, asked for a manager, demanded fairness. A very long argument followed, and it ended with a very short truth: the law does not side with people who lose the lottery. He left the store with his losing ticket and an extra lesson about the meaning of luck. Story 13. Paying with Monopoly money. The woman walked up to the checkout counter with absolute confidence. She placed her items down, smiled, then pulled out a stack of brightly colored bills. Monopoly money. When the employee gently explained that the store does not accept this form of payment, she immediately objected. According to her, the word bank is printed on it. And if it's from a bank, then obviously it's legal currency. The employee tried to explain the difference between a family board game and the real-world financial system. She disagreed. She argued that money only has value because people believe in it, and she fully believed in the stack of bills in her hand. The line behind her began to grow longer. The conversation became far more philosophical than anyone needed. The employee slowly ran out of options. Eventually, a manager appeared and ended the situation quickly. She was asked to leave the store before she could establish a parallel economy right at the checkout counter. Story 14. Using a coupon drawn with crayons. The woman walked up to the checkout counter with the confidence of an artist about to debut a masterpiece. She placed her items down, then handed over a small piece of paper drawn in colorful crayon. It was a coupon, made entirely by her. The paper had a border, discount text, and a few hearts added for extra persuasion. When the employee refused to accept it, she immediately argued back. According to her, this wasn't just a coupon, it was art. And art always has value. She reasoned that the store displays artwork, so why wouldn't it accept a coupon created with passion and creativity? The employee tried to explain barcodes and store policy. She wasn't satisfied. Her voice grew louder. Nearby customers started paying attention. Eventually, a manager appeared and ended the exhibition. She was asked to leave the store before she could start charging admission. Story 15. Paying with a With Love gift card. The woman walked up to the checkout counter with a very warm smile. She placed her items down and handed over a small card. No logo, no barcode, just handwritten words, with love. She believed affection is the most valuable currency, and if money runs on trust, then sincere love must be worth even more. She politely asked the employee to scan the card. The employee looked at it, flipped it over, then looked at the scanner as if waiting for a miracle. No beep, no balance, no sign the system understood feelings. She explained that the card was given from the bottom of the heart, that technology should be more flexible with human emotions. The employee listened, nodded, then gently stated a simple truth: the scanner can't read feelings. The transaction ended there. The love was still real, but the items were not. Story 16. Moving an accounting office into Panera Bread. This man walked into Panera Bread with a very clear goal: not to eat lunch, but to work. He picked a table near an outlet and started setting up. A computer monitor, a keyboard, a mouse, and a personal printer buzzing like it was a real office. Once his headquarters was fully established, he went to the counter and bought exactly one coffee. One. Then returned to his table and started working with the confidence of someone paying rent. Hours passed. Morning turned into noon. Noon turned into afternoon. More and more papers were printed. No additional coffee was purchased. Other customers came and went. He stayed, typing, printing documents, occasionally taking phone calls in a very professional tone. Eventually, an employee walked over, very polite, very patient, and gently explained that Panera Bread is a restaurant, not an accounting branch. He was asked to leave, taking the entire office with him back to where it actually belonged. Story 17. Running a marathon on a display treadmill. This man walked into a sporting goods store dressed with absolute seriousness. Race shirt, short running shorts, headband, a sports watch ready to start timing. He wasn't there to buy a treadmill. He was there to run. He stepped onto the most expensive display treadmill in the store and started at a moderate pace like any athlete warming up. 10 minutes passed, 30 minutes, then more than an hour. While other customers waited their turn to try the machine, he kept running, sweating, drinking water, acting like he was on mile 18 of a real race. An employee came over and very politely reminded him that this was a display model. He nodded and increased the speed slightly. Eventually, a manager had to step in. The machine was unplugged mid-run. The marathon ended abruptly. He stopped breathing hard and for the first time that day realized a test run does not include the full 26.2 miles. Story 18. Live streaming for donations at the checkout counter. This woman stood at the checkout in a situation that felt very familiar. Her card was declined. The screen showed an error, not once, but multiple times. Instead of panicking or pulling out cash, she chose a more modern solution. She took out her phone, started a live stream. In an urgent tone, she told her audience she was in an emergency situation at the store. She held the receipt up to the camera and asked viewers to donate to rescue the shopping cart. The phone volume was turned all the way up. Everyone at the checkout now had front row seats to her financial situation in real time. Customers behind her grew impatient. The cashier froze. The live stream continued. A few minutes later, security arrived. No asking for the link, no sending hearts, and very gently explained that the store is not a live stream studio. The broadcast ended. So did the transaction. Story 19. Hosting a 3-course dinner inside a furniture store. This couple walked into a furniture store with very serious intentions, not to buy a table, but to use one. They brought food from home, an appetizer, a main course, dessert, a full, proper dinner. They chose a display dining set, neatly laid out a tablecloth, and started eating like they were in their own dining room. Nearby, shoppers stopped unsure whether they were still shopping or had accidentally walked into a family dinner. Everything was fine until dessert was finished. That's when the argument started. Who was going to do the dishes? Voices got louder. Gestures became sharper. And the calm shopping atmosphere turned into a full-blown relationship debate. Staff didn't wait for the ending. A manager appeared. Did not ask about the menu. The couple was asked to leave the store immediately before they had to decide who was paying for the table too. Story 20. Spending the night in a display bedroom. The man walked into a furniture store dragging a rolling suitcase behind him. No one questioned it. If you're buying a bed, of course, you'd want to be prepared. He went straight to the display bedroom section, picked the softest-looking bed, and began a very serious test. He opened his suitcase, took out sleepwear, brushed his teeth, then climbed into bed like he was checking into a hotel. According to his logic, lying down for a few minutes proves nothing. To truly judge quality, you need a full night's sleep, and that's exactly what he did. The next morning, when staff opened the store, they discovered a man sitting up on a display bed, stretching, yawning deeply, and politely asking if the store sold coffee. Management did not ask how well he slept. He was told to pack up immediately and informed that overnight stays are not part of the store policy, with one final bonus included a permanent ban from returning. Story 21, releasing hamsters into freedom. This woman walked into a pet store with a very strong belief. She wasn't there to buy hamsters. She was there to liberate them. After staring at the small cages for a while, she concluded that no living creature should live behind bars, especially not ones that are round, fluffy, and somehow look like symbols of freedom. And then she acted. The cage doors opened. One hamster hit the floor. Then a few more followed. Within seconds, the store turned into chaos. Hamsters ran under shelves behind bags of food through the legs of customers who screamed in surprise. Staff immediately locked the doors, not because of theft, but because of rodents. A full search began with boxes, buckets, and a lot of very gentle whispering. She stood there watching, looking fairly proud, until a manager arrived and explained that animal liberation is not part of store policy. She was asked to leave. The hamsters, meanwhile, were being counted. Story 22, teaching parrots to swear inside the store. The man walked into a pet store with a very clear goal. Not to buy a parrot, but to teach parrots. He stopped in front of the bird cages and began repeating words that children should never hear under any circumstances. Very patiently, very focused. The problem was parrots learn fast. Within minutes, the entire bird section was echoing loud, perfectly pronounced swear words complete with tone and confidence. Right on cue, a family with small children walked up. The parents froze. The kids absorbed new vocabulary at an alarming speed. Employees rushed over in panic. Management followed immediately. The man was asked to leave the store and received a special bonus, a lifetime ban. The parrots stayed behind with a vocabulary far richer than when the day began. Story 23, taking a goldfish for a walk in a hamster ball. The man walked into a pet store with an idea that sounded very reasonable inside his own head. If hamsters can go for walks in plastic balls, then goldfish deserve to explore the world too. He bought a hamster ball, filled it with water, and gently placed a goldfish inside with a satisfied look on his face. According to his logic, everything was safe. There was water, there was space, there was freedom. The problem was the fish did not agree. Within seconds, the goldfish began panicking, swimming frantically inside the constantly spinning sphere. The ball rolled along with each of his steps, drawing the attention of the entire store. Customers stopped to stare. Employees noticed immediately, and the situation was handled right away. Staff ordered the walk to stop. No debate, no further experiments. The man was asked to leave the store before the goldfish needed long-term therapy. Story 24, washing a child's toys with the produce misting system. The woman entered the supermarket with her child and a bag of well-used toys. Instead of looking for wet wipes, she spotted what she believed was the perfect solution, the misting system in the produce section. According to her logic, the water there is clean, cool, and free. Extremely convenient. Very eco-friendly. She placed the toys under the mist, rotating them back and forth like a miniature car wash. Water splashed everywhere, spraying onto vegetables and spilling into the aisle. Customers stepped aside. Employees started paying attention. The produce section quickly turned into a temporary laundry area. When she was reminded, she calmly explained that she was just doing a quick clean. The employee nodded, then gently clarified the system is for produce, not toys. The wash cycle ended. The toys were cleaner. The shopping trip ended there too. She was asked to leave the store with a bag of still wet toys. Story 25, turning the produce misting system into a spa. This man stopped in the produce section with a very peaceful expression. Not to choose tomatoes, but to relax. He stood directly under the misting system, closed his eyes, and took deep breaths like he was in a luxury spa. According to him, the cool, mist-soft lighting and fresh vegetable scent created a perfect therapeutic experience. A few shoppers slowed down as they passed. Some frowned. Others changed aisles entirely. An employee approached and politely reminded him that the area is for produce. He nodded, but did not move, because the treatment was not finished yet. He stayed for a few more seconds, fully enjoying a rare moment of peace inside a crowded supermarket. Eventually, staff had to intervene more firmly. The spa session ended abruptly. He was asked to leave the area, and the free relaxation experience ended right there in the produce aisle. Story 26. Using a floor scrubber as a hoverboard. This man spotted an industrial floor scrubber and immediately had a bold idea. Not cleaning, but thrills. In his mind, the machine had wheels, a handle, and most importantly, it was plugged in. More than enough for a speed experiment. He climbed on, grabbed the handle, and gave a gentle push. The machine glided down the aisle suspiciously smoothly. Customers pressed against shelves. A few people froze. Confidence increased faster than speed. Then came a turn. The machine didn't turn, it went straight, and ended the journey by crashing directly into a display shelf. Boxes fell, items rolled. The store echoed with impact. Before he could explain his personal testing, security appeared. The flight was over, and the man was asked to leave the store before inventing another vehicle. Story 27. Using a price scanner as a laser tag gun. This man discovered a handheld price scanner and instantly returned to his childhood. In his mind, if it makes a beep sound, then it's basically a laser weapon. He grabbed the scanner, ducked behind shelves, and pretended to shoot at his friend with the seriousness of a life-or-death match. Every trigger press came with a deeply satisfying beep. The problem was he didn't just shoot his friend. He scanned other customers' carts too. Prices started popping up randomly on the screen. Shoppers froze, confused about why their carts were suddenly under attack. Beeping echoed down the aisle. Customers dodged. Employees panicked. Within minutes, the shopping area turned into pure chaos. Staff rushed in and immediately confiscated the weapon. The laser tag match was over. The man was asked to leave the store before expanding the map to the checkout lanes. Story 28. Creating a slip and slide with dish soap. This man looked at a row of dish soap bottles and had a very summary idea. Not washing dishes, but sliding. He twisted open the cap and poured soap directly onto the floor, creating a long, shiny trail. In his mind, this was an indoor version of a slip and slide. Safer and completely free. He stepped back a few paces, took a runner's stance, and sprinted forward. The first slide was smooth. Too smooth. The problem is momentum doesn't know when to stop. He slid straight into a display shelf. Boxes fell, bottles rolled. The floor turned into a full-on scene. Nearby customers stood frozen. Employees did not. A manager appeared very quickly, followed by an even quicker decision. He was asked to leave the store immediately and given an unwanted bonus, a permanent ban. Turns out children's games are not covered by store safety policy. Story 29. Reading spoilers out loud in a bookstore. This woman walked into a bookstore with the energy of someone who had just uncovered a universal truth. She picked up a newly released novel, stood right in the middle of the aisle, and started reading. Not quietly, not skimming, but reading out loud. Very loud. After just a few sentences, everyone realized something was wrong. She wasn't reading the beginning. She was reading the ending. She clearly explained who the killer was, who betrayed whom, and who died in a way no one saw coming. Her voice was steady, clear, leaving no room for hope. Nearby customers froze. Some started breathing faster. Others were genuinely angry. Someone asked her to stop. She replied that she was simply sharing the reading experience. The staff did not share that view. A manager appeared. She was asked to leave the bookstore before destroying any more plots. Story 30. Spraying a fire extinguisher into the produce section. This man stood in the produce aisle for a long time with a visibly dissatisfied expression. He examined the broccoli, touched a few heads of lettuce, then shook his head like a disappointed agricultural expert. In his opinion, the vegetables were not moist enough. The misting system was too weak, and in his mind, that was a serious problem. His solution was decisive. He reached for a nearby fire extinguisher and activated it without hesitation. Within seconds, the produce section disappeared under a thick layer of white powder. The entire store filled with clouds. Customers started coughing. Employees yelled. The vegetables received far more hydration than they would ever need in a lifetime. When the dust settled, he calmly explained that he just wanted to make sure the produce had enough moisture. Management did not debate agriculture. He was asked to leave the store immediately along with a lifetime perk, a permanent ban. Story 31. When small behaviors add up to a lifetime ban. It didn't start with a disaster. Just a few small decisions, very confident, and slightly wrong. First standing too long in the display area, then touching things that shouldn't be touched, then just trying a little bit. The first reminder came, very polite. He nodded and continued. The second reminder came faster, more serious. He nodded again and kept going. By the third time, people around started to realize this wasn't a misunderstanding anymore. This was a lifestyle. Security showed up with the slow walk of someone who has seen too much in life. No yelling, no arguing. Just one short sentence. Today is your last day here. No handcuffs, no drama. Just a door opening and a return ticket. That doesn't exist. Lifetime ban. Not because of one big mistake, but because of too many small ones in a row and completely avoidable. Rules aren't stupid. They only exist after humans repeatedly prove that they can be creative in ways no one ever expected and no one ever asked for. This video isn't here to judge anyone. There's no absolute right or wrong. Just very human moments when someone looks at a clearly bad idea and still confidently thinks, it'll probably be fine. Now it's your turn. Have you ever witnessed something like this? What's the dumbest thing you've seen in public? If you laughed even once, hit like. If you've experienced moments like these in real life, drop a comment. And if you enjoy storytelling that's both funny and painfully relatable, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Because as long as people keep going out to shop, these kinds of stories will keep happening.